Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cambrowner channel, and today we are ranking every single Undertaker WrestleMania match, all the way from WrestleMania 7 to WrestleMania 36. So enough talk, let's take a look at our categories. So as you can see here, we have every single Undertaker WrestleMania match, and our categories: the GOAT category, I don't think I have to explain that to you, the Classic category for instant classic match, the Good category, it was alright, the Mid category, you know what that means, and the final category, the Worst category, Dead Last. Not many of these Undertaker matches would steep so low into the dead last category, but there might be a few. So folks, as the saying goes, you gotta start somewhere, and we are starting with the WrestleMania 7 match, Jimmy Snuka versus The Undertaker. Obviously no one knew what this would lead to, but this match absolutely had to happen for all to follow. Now don't watch this match thinking it's gonna be some big 5-star spectacle. It was a spooky squash match, that's what I would call it. It was a standard portrayal of The Undertaker on the biggest show of the year. And when I say he squashed Jimmy Snuka, he squashed him. It's not the world's most entertaining match, it's not the craziest spectacle, it's not a wrestling clinic. But none of these matches would have happened without the first one, so I've got to put it in the classic tier. So rolling into WrestleMania 8, we had Jake the Snake Roberts taking on The Undertaker. This whole storyline was kind of Jake the Snake trying to out-mind game The Undertaker, and obviously he ain't gonna do that. He tried though, he attacked Paul Bearer, spiked Undertaker with a bunch of DDTs, and Undertaker sat right back up. A tombstone on the outside, another in the ring, and that was all she wrote. These are two legends, and this is a classic matchup in my mind. I mean, both characters kind of weave so well into each other that it's just perfect. So for now, I'm going to put it right under the Jimmy Snuka match. Also, these are all subject to change. Once I get a bunch in here, I'm going to move them around and figure them out based on how I want it. So moving on to WrestleMania 9, we had The Undertaker taking on the Giant Gonzalez. This was probably one of the weirdest chapters for the streak. I mean, that bodysuit that they had on Giant Gonzalez still gives me nightmares. What the fuck was that? The match ended with Undertaker getting choked out with chloroform. Chloroform, which means Gonzalez would get disqualified and Taker would win by DQ. It was not pretty, it was not technical, but the streak lived on. This might have been the weirdest win in WrestleMania history, but hey, the Taker doesn't do normal. So I think this is unfortunately going to be our first addition to the mid category. Folks, next up we had King Kong Bundy taking on The Undertaker at WrestleMania 11. This was another display of the Battle of Giants concept, but let's be real, this match was not a classic. It was kind of like a slow motion brawl with Paul Bearer like playing keep away with the urn. King Kong Bundy tried to crush The Undertaker multiple times, but since he's so goddamn fat, all it took was a body slam and a flying clothesline, and the big guy was out. So 4-0, not pretty, but I think that's what they were going for with The Undertaker. Dig the grave, drop him in, and move on. I don't hate it, the story's not awful, the match isn't awful. I'm gonna put it in the good category. Next up we had WrestleMania 12, Big Daddy Cool Diesel versus the Deadman, The Undertaker. When I think of this match, I think of power versus power, two titans throwing it down. Diesel gave Taker literally everything he had. Sidewalk slams, jackknife power bombs, and Taker just kept getting up. One choke slam, one tombstone, it was lights out for Diesel. The streak lives on to 5-0. I guess Diesel learned the hard way that you can't kill what's already dead. The story to this match was really cool. They had the fake Diesel in the grave. I will never forget that shit. So for me, I'm going to put this right above the Jake the Snake match in the classic category. Next up, we have WrestleMania 13, Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker. The Deadman is back in the main event, and this time, it's for the title. In this match, Psycho Sid had size, power, but at this point, Undertaker was extremely over. His aura was maxing. Sid fought really hard in this match, Bret Hart got involved, but you can't escape the tombstone, and just like that, Undertaker is the World Heavyweight Champion. At this point, we are 6-0, and WrestleMania belongs to the Deadman. This is a pretty iconic match, I do like it myself. I'm going to put it just over King Kong Bundy in the good category. Next up we had WrestleMania 14, Brother versus Brother, Fire versus Darkness, Kane versus The Undertaker. This is a story that had been rolling on for the year prior, and obviously had a lot of traction because Undertaker had not had a foe to this level yet. Someone who could genuinely match his style, match his energy, someone who I thought could actually beat him. This was absolutely personal. Kane kicked out of like 3 tombstones, but Taker wasn't playing no. It took a 4th one to finally keep the Big Red Machine down. 7-0 strong, Undertaker progressed. I'm trying to decide right now in my head if this match should be the #1 in the GOAT tier. It's going in the GOAT tier right now, I'll tell you that. This is probably the greatest Undertaker match of all time. I don't know if any of these ones coming up are going to be better than this one. This one is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't watched this match, go watch it right now. Well, don't watch it right after this, you know what I'm talking about. So next up, we have WrestleMania 15, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker versus Big Boss Man. And yeah, this one got dark and weird. They brawled for a while. Big Boss Man had that big armor suit on. It was kind of a different thing for him. Taker hit the tombstone and you know he got him for the win. But then he decided, why stop there? So he literally hung the Big Boss Man from the top of the cell. I'm going to say that again just so you know it's real. He hung the Big Boss Man from the top of the cell. Taker turned WrestleMania into an episode of CSI Attitude Era. This got a lot of dark and bad heat in the wrestling community, and it's kind of understood. I don't know why they would do that. That's fucking crazy. But hey, 8-0, the streak keeps rolling on, so the match wasn't terrible, but I can't approve of the antics that happened in it, so I'm going to put it at the bottom of the good category. So next up we had WrestleMania 17, Biker Dad Undertaker versus Triple H. This is the first match in the trilogy of The Undertaker and Triple H, and there was no title on the line for this match, and it still delivered. They fought in the ring, they fought in the crowd, they fought through scaffolding. You know Triple H tried that sledgehammer, but it was not enough for The Undertaker. He hit him with a tombstone, and you know the deal. The streak holds at 9-0 at this point. The game got played and the streak rolled on. This match is pretty damn good. I'm going to put it just over King Kong Bundy and The Undertaker in the good category. Next up, we had WrestleMania 18, Undertaker vs. Ric Flair in a no disqualification fight. This was a battle to see who really was the dirtiest player in the game. This match felt like a bar fight in hell. Chairs, blood, low blows. Even Arn Anderson, he pulled up with his Glock and spinebustered Taker. But it still wasn't enough. Taker survived it all and hit Ric Flair with the signature tombstone 1, 2, 3, and we are 10-0, styling and profiling. This match is pretty cool. This is two legends going at it, two all-time greats. This was kind of the slowing down of the Attitude Era and the kickstart of the Ruthless Aggression Era, so both of these guys kind of didn't know where to fit in at the time. Regardless, I think this is a great match, and I'm going to put it just over King Kong Bundy in the good category. Alright, so the following year, WrestleMania 19, we have The Undertaker taking on Big Show and A-Train. These are two giant fucking dudes that The Undertaker was supposed to have help from Nathan Jones, but he got ridden out pretty quick. I'm not sure what really happened there. Taker went solo in this match, and he still dominated both guys. They found a way to make this match really, really fun, even though they all kind of had limited movesets in their size. Nathan Jones finally showed up to help Taker. It was late but useful, and the 11-0 streak holds steady. This match is pretty good. Definitely not the most iconic streak match, but I don't hate it. I'm going to put it just above Big Boss Man in the good category. So next up we have WrestleMania 20, the Deadman is back. And not the biker dude, the Phenom rose from the darkness to face no other than his brother yet again, Kane. Kane obviously thought Taker was gone forever, but when the Druids came out and the Phenom rose again, you knew that shit was on. Kane looked like he saw a ghost, and spoiler, he did. Taker pretty much no-sold everything, hit a tombstone, and that was it. Undertaker was back in full swing. I think this match is iconic for a bunch of reasons. The Undertaker coming back is his original persona, and just Undertaker and Kane facing in general, especially at WrestleMania, it makes it so much bigger. So for that, I'm going to put it just over the Jake the Snake match in the classic category. Coming up next, we got WrestleMania 21, the Legend Killer trying to take down the Phenom. Randy Orton versus The Undertaker. This match is fire. Randy Orton reversed a chokeslam into an RKO, and he even tried a tombstone of his own. And his dad, Bob Orton, got involved with that sketchy cast on. But it was not enough for Taker, and he hit Randy Orton with the first ever mid-air tombstone and put him away. You can't kill what's already dead. 13-0, the streak lives on. I think a lot of people would agree. For some reason, I love this match. It's super iconic. I think they made Taker look really, really badass here. So for that, I'm going to put it just under the Snuka match in the classic category. Next up, we have WrestleMania 22. The Deadman steps into one of his most signature match types, the casket match, and his opponent, you might ask, the 400-pound beast, Mark Henry. Both guys took an absolute beating in this match. They toss each other around. Undertaker put on a great display of his agility doing some suicide dives. This is the first time we'd ever seen that from The Undertaker. Back in the ring with a thunderous tombstone, and that was enough to put the world's strongest man to rest. 14-0, and the streak was still intact, and the casket is closed. This match is really, really good. I think it's iconic. I think Mark Henry posed a real threat to The Undertaker. So to me, I'm going to put it just over the Ric Flair match in the good category. So next up, we had Undertaker vs. Batista, WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. Shout out to the Detroit folks. This match was for the World Heavyweight Championship, power versus presence. Nobody really expected a classic, considering both of them are really big, clunky guys, and it's more of a power fest. But these guys put on a goddamn show. I mean, Batista came in strong. Spinebusters, spears, throwing Taker around. But the Deadman kept coming back. Taker hit a massive last ride, but Batista wasn't done, and neither was Taker. Taker hit a massive chokeslam. 1, 2, 3. The streak is still intact, and we have a new World Heavyweight Champion in The Undertaker. It's always good to see Undertaker with gold in hand. And actually, this match in particular is one of my favorite streak matches. So I think I'm going to put it just above Randy Orton, and I might change that. I'm not sure yet. Next up, we had WrestleMania 24. At this point, Undertaker was still the World Heavyweight Champion, but there was another man on the rise who also had an undefeated streak at WrestleMania, and that was Edge, with Vicky Guerrero in his corner. This match wasn't just good, it was great. Edge had counters for everything The Undertaker threw at him. There was multiple spears in this match that I totally thought it was going to be over, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't have been surprised if Edge was the guy to beat the streak at that point. But let's be honest, you don't mess with the Phenom at WrestleMania for a few more years. Taker survived it all, locked in a Hell's Gate, and Edge tapped out. 16-0, Undertaker still the champ. And that perfect record Edge had, kiss that goodbye. This match is fantastic. I'm going to pick up right where we left off and put it just over the Batista match in the classic category. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to WrestleMania 25. This was Heaven vs. Hell, the Showstopper versus the Phenom. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. In a match that wasn't just iconic, this match is fucking art. HBK descended from the top in white, and Undertaker rose from the darkness in black. This match wasn't about titles at all, it was about the streak, it was about legacy. This match is an instant classic, counter after counter. Taker kicked out of a bunch of sweet chin musics, Shawn kicked out of a bunch of choke slams, a bunch of tombstones. The crowd was on the edge of their souls. Taker almost broke his neck on that dive to the outside, almost took the camera guy with him. After 35 minutes of absolute war, Taker caught Shawn midair for one final tombstone, and the greatest streak in WrestleMania history survived by a one hair of a second. This is WrestleMania magic if you ask me, and this is one of the best matches, probably the best match in Streak's history, so you know where I'm putting this. I'm putting it above Undertaker and Kane, the #1 in the GOAT category, if I can get it there. That's right, don't nobody be complaining to me in the comments, this shit is #1, obviously. Next up, we had WrestleMania 26, the rematch, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. The stakes this time weren't just the streak, it was Shawn Michaels' career. HBK put it all on the line, hopefully trying to end The Undertaker's legendary streak. This was the end of a brutal, heart-wrenching saga that is one of my favorites in WWE history. These guys push each other to the limits here, they laid out everything they had in that ring. Especially Shawn, knowing that it would be his final matchup because The Undertaker would show no mercy to Shawn Michaels. 18-0, the streak would live on, and Shawn Michaels' in-ring career was over. Maybe. This match is another greatest of all time match, but I'm going to put it under Kane and Undertaker, just because this one was so damn good. So next up, we had WrestleMania 27, the Game Triple H taking on The Undertaker for a second time, and this time it was not just a match, it was about revenge. It was about revenge for his partner, his DX brother in Shawn Michaels. These guys beat each other down, steel chairs, sledgehammers, tables. But The Undertaker's resilience is unmatched. After a brutal battle, Taker hit the tombstone and sealed the deal 19-0. No one breaks the streak, not even the game. This match is pretty good, I like this match. I'm going to put it just above the previous match in the good category. So next up we had the Absolute Clash, the follow-up to WrestleMania 27, WrestleMania 28, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker and Triple H yet again. But this time everything was on the line. Both of these guys fought in this match like it was their last match, and at the time people didn't know if it was or not. They were labeling this match as the end of an era. Chair shots, sledgehammers, a jawbreaker through the announce table. They had that crowd in their hands. The Undertaker delivered an extremely emotional tombstone, and the streak stood tall at 20-0. But at this point, the match wasn't about the wins, it was about the respect, it was about the legacy, it was about the era that they were wrapping up. The insane ovation from the crowd, and all three of those guys walking up the ramp. That's a canon WWE event. Top 10 WrestleMania moment. This is another addition to the GOAT tier, and I'm going to put it just over the second edition of Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. The GOAT tier is gaining more traction. Next up, we had WrestleMania 29, CM Punk versus The Undertaker. Living Color played CM Punk out live. This is a WrestleMania that I remember clearly. One of my favorite stages of all time. And this is one of my favorite streak matches of all time because CM Punk knows how to work with The Undertaker, and you can tell in this match. After a shit ton of counters, after a shit ton of near falls, after a couple go-to-sleeps and some tombstones, and of course Paul Heyman rage-baiting Undertaker with the urn, it still wasn't enough to overcome the Deadman. And the streak lived on 21-0. This is a fantastic match, and I would say it's one of the last really good matches in the prime light of the streak. So I think I'm going to put it between Edge and Batista in the classic category. So next up we have WrestleMania 30, the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar taking on The Undertaker. When I think of this match, all I can think about is the shock factor. I'm just going to say it, folks. This is the match that the streak ended. If you don't know that, 21-0 is where we were at before the breaking of the streak, and that is an insane record. 21 years of straight victories, straight presence in the WWE for The Undertaker. From the get-go in this match, Brock Lesnar showed that he was stronger, he was better, he was more agile than The Undertaker, and to break kayfabe, The Undertaker suffered a concussion mid-match, which made him even more out of it. He still fought back with everything he had, punches, choke slams, but it was not enough to take down the Beast, and after a 4th F5, the streak was broken. The streak was over. The arena was silent. When I tell you that shock and disbelief were drawn all over the faces of everybody in that stadium, 21-1. Definitely a disappointing end to the streak, but the match overall was okay. I really hate to dock points because of a concussion, but it definitely made the match feel a little bit sluggish, and knowing that it was the end of the streak, you kind of wanted Brock to manhandle him a little bit, but this was a crazy display of aggression. So I feel like it's only right to put it just above the start, next to Jimmy Snuka in the classic tier. So next up was WrestleMania 31, The Undertaker versus the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. We all knew that Undertaker needed a big bounce back, and this was exactly that, a dream match that a lot of people, including myself, were dying to see. This match was very slow, extremely methodical. It was the perfect combination of those guys' styles. But the streak, you might ask, the streak is gone. They are no longer fighting for The Undertaker's penitence. It's not an instant classic, but it's extremely symbolic because it shows The Undertaker bouncing back, and he absolutely did, beating Bray Wyatt. This is a dream match I wanted to see for a long time, and we got it good. So I think I'm going to put it right in between the Triple H matches. I feel like that's a good spot, and it'll also break those up. So next up we have WrestleMania 32, Shane McMahon had to take on The Undertaker in order to run Monday Night Raw. That's a pretty tall task, but considering that The Undertaker had been beaten before, Shane was in. An absolutely fearless Shane McMahon jumped off the Hell in a Cell onto The Undertaker, but that still wasn't enough because The Undertaker would beat Shane McMahon and continue his post-streak record. Pretty much all I remember from this match is Shane jumping off the cell, and that is a very iconic moment in itself. Nothing crazy, but it's still pretty damn good. I'm going to put it just under the first Triple H match, in the good category. It's filling up here, we're getting close to the finish line here. Next up we have WrestleMania 33, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, in a match I thought we would never ever see. Roman was WWE's golden boy at this point. They were in the main event, fighting for their yard. That was the premise behind this entire match. The crowd was super quiet for most of it, which is never a good sign. I mean, sure, there were cool moments, Roman hitting a Superman punch, those chair shots were nasty, but there was a lot of bad moments too, like Undertaker not being able to pick up Roman Reigns having to circle around the ring a bunch of times so Undertaker could line himself up. There was a lot wrong with this match, and I think it showed The Undertaker it's time to pump the brakes, it's time to slow down. And that is what he did. He put his gloves and his jacket in the middle of the ring and walked off into the sunset. This was supposed to be The Undertaker's retirement. I don't know. I think this was more of just a missed opportunity because Roman and Taker could have done so much more. Pains me to say this, but I'm going to put this in the mid category above Giant Gonzalez. And rolling into the next year, The Undertaker had been away for a calendar year. He's buffing up, he's skinnying up, he's getting ready for a 45-minute match. And on television, we have John Cena talking trash about The Undertaker from the months leading up to WrestleMania, and we've had no response from the Deadman until he showed up the night of in fantastic shape, and it was reported that Undertaker was ready for a 45-minute match, but Vince and John said, nah man, 5 minutes, all you need. So he was kind of pissed, but he looked really good, and the match was good. He did all the classics, in and out, and I wish it could have been longer. I would have wanted to see Cena versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania for real, a match we never got. I guess until now you could say that, but they both have a lot to offer, and I think it could have been a lot longer. So for that, I'm going to put it over Shane and Taker at 32 in the good category. And ladies and gentlemen, our final addition to this ranking, it was COVID-19. They could not wrestle in person. They had to do a cinematic match. This was the final match in The Undertaker's career, and I think it's one of the coolest. It's so different from what they would usually do. They totally switched up the style here, and fans loved it. I remember watching it and loving it. The vibes were freaking immaculate in this match. The hearse, the casket, the graves. We got one of the biggest memes of all time from this match. And not to talk about how much of a dream match it is in Undertaker versus AJ Styles. If you would have told me 10 years ago that The Undertaker's last match ever would be against AJ Styles, I would have told you to fuck off. I think just that fact makes this a classic, therefore I am going to put it in the bottom of the classic category. So there's one issue I want to address with this whole tier, and that is the classic ranking. At the start of this video, my idea was that this is the end, this is the start, they should be at the top, but there's a bunch of matches in here that are way better than these two, and are more iconic. So I'm going to move the Snuka match down to about right here, and I'm actually going to put Randy in front of it, because that match is way better too. I am going to leave this here. It's just super iconic, and it marked the end of an insanely historic reign. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the official ranking of all the Undertaker main events in WrestleMania history. Take a screenshot of your tier list, tag me on Instagram, and let me know if you agree. If you want to find stuff like my Instagram, my TikTok, where you can watch my reactions to Raw and SmackDown as that stuff happens, and my BTB channel where I do vlogs with friends, all that stuff is in the description. So please click through, follow that stuff. Please leave a like, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with some of the stuff I said in this video. With that stuff being said, thanks so much guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace.